Hey guys, it's Andrew BHA here bringing you a new video. So if you didn't already know, Switchbot, the maker of the Switchbot bot, has started to come out with some other IoT and smart home gear, including some sensors like door and window sensors, as well as motion sensors. And today we're going to take a look at their indoor camera. I didn't even know they made cameras, so this was pretty cool. This product is pretty new, and so there's probably not going to be a whole lot that we're going to be able to do with it outside of SwitchBot itself, but we're going to check it out anyway and see what all we can do with it and take a look at the configuration and what options are available to us. Here we go.
All right, so you can pick up this indoor camera straight from SwitchBot for just under 30 bucks, or probably, I guess, after taxes and shipping and everything, it'll be just over 30 bucks. But still a pretty good deal for an indoor camera, right up there with Wise and some of the other indoor cameras that are out there. If you didn't want to get it from them, you can buy it from their storefront on Amazon for pretty much the same price. I guess that might work out better for you if you pay for Amazon Prime, because then you'll get the free shipping. All right, so let's do a quick run through of everything we're going to cover in this video. So for starters, we will unbox the camera and just kind of show you what all that comes with. Once we do that, we will install it. Not going to be a whole lot to that step, but we'll take a look at it anyway. Once we have it kind of installed and plugged in, we will get it added into the SwitchBot app. Once that's done, we'll kind of go over what config options you have available to you in the SwitchBot app. And lastly, I'll just kind of give you my final thoughts on the camera itself. Well, let's get started. All right, so here we are. Let's get this thing unboxed. It's actually got quite a bit of information on the outside of the box. There are the technical specs there on the bottom. We'll take a look at those in just a second. Let's go ahead and get this thing opened up. So you basically get the camera itself. So they give you a little card with instructions and stuff that you can scan if you have any problems or questions and stuff. That's kind of cool. So open up this little plastic here. Camera's pretty small, it fits in the palm of my hand. On the back side there is the USB port. Looks like there is a button there to reset it as well. There's also a spot on the back to mount the stand. There's an SD card slot on the side of it that takes up to 128 gigs, so that's pretty cool. You can also mount it on the bottom of the camera as well. All right, let's see what else we get. So you get your USB cable, a power brick, and some screws, and some double stick tape. So this mount is magnetic on the bottom, but it does have the option to screw it into something as well. So that little bottom piece pops off. You can anchor that somewhere and then mount that camera that way. So that's pretty cool. As far as the technical specs go, it's got 6x digital zoom. This is a 1080p camera running in H.264 formatted. As already stated, on the storage side, it goes up to 128 gig as far as the SD card size that it will handle. The field of view is 130 degrees wide angle. So for the power, it's 5 volts. Obviously, it's going to pull that from the USB, so that should be fine. For the Wi-Fi, it is 2.4 gigahertz, so it will not support 5 gigahertz. Other than that, everything looks pretty standard. Let's go ahead and move on to the next step, and we will get this thing installed. All right. So as far as installing this thing, there's not a whole lot that we can really do to it. Um, you got this little mounting bracket here that you can so you can attach to the back of it if you want. Maybe if you were hanging it upside down or something, that might work for you. Or if you're just going to stand it up normally, there's a place on the bottom as well that it sticks in. So that's pretty cool. I think that's kind of how I'll have mine set up. As you can see here, I've kind of set it up here on my shelf. It's powered in. The cable just runs to the back. Everything looks pretty good. Got it pointed at my desk, which is kind of a cluster right now, but still looks pretty good. Everything looks normal there. So that's about it. As far as installing goes, let's move on to the next step and get this thing added into the Switchbot app. All right, so as far as getting this added into the app, you have to have the Switchbot app. Obviously, you'll need to create an account as well if you don't already have one. We're going to kind of skip past some of those steps here. But we'll hit the plus in the top corner to add a device. We're looking for indoor cam. There it is, kind of down towards the bottom. It says it wants it to be flashing red. Basically, if you just plug this thing in, especially right out of the box, it should be flashing red as soon as you plug it in. If for some reason you've used it before or it's not flashing red, you can reset it by, I think, holding down the button on the back. And as I've already stated, it supports 2.4 gigahertz, does not support 5 gigs, so you'll need to make sure your Wi-Fi is running on 2.4 gigahertz. Once you've got it set up on the Wi-Fi, it asks to scan a QR code. So you basically just put your phone in front of the camera and it will kind of scan that QR code there. And at that point, kind of throw up a message saying that it's done. You got it added into Alexa as well, looks like. We're going to go ahead and give it a new name. I'm just going to call it Office Cam. I'm not going to worry about changing the room or anything like that. So we'll say start to use. So there it is, kind of sitting back up on my shelf. You can kind of see me there. It's angled right where I'm sitting. So far, so good. Everything looks pretty good. Let's move on to the next step and we'll go over the configuration. All right, so inside the configuration options for this camera, you can put it in privacy mode, which basically disables the camera itself. You can set up offline notification, which means if the camera goes offline, you will be notified. There's also, let's see, night vision. You can have it set to auto. I think that's the setting by default. I'm not going to change that. If you didn't want night vision at all, you could basically just turn it off. All right, so for cloud storage, they do give you some options for cloud storage if you want to subscribe to those. We're going to steer clear of that for now. Let's look at motion detection. So it is enabled by default. The sensitivity is set to low, but there's basically 3 settings, low, medium, and high. And you do have the option for detection area where you can configure it. If you only want to monitor certain parts of the viewing area, as well as detect human only. So I want to do that because I'm not really worried about other stuff that happens in there, but it'd be cool to be notified when somebody or person walks into the room. So that's pretty cool. Next up is storage settings. I don't currently have an SD card in the camera. It's not going to be recording anything, but you could basically add in an SD card, enable local recording, and then of course you can even format the SD card if you need to. All right, so under basic settings, there is a little indicator light on the front of the camera. It's green. It's also the one that flashes red whenever you're first installing it. I guess once you're in full production with the camera, you can disable that light altogether if you want to kind of keep that camera hidden, maybe. So that's an interesting feature there. You do have the ability to flip the screen. Maybe if you're mounting the camera upside down or something and you need to be able to view it upside down, you have the option for that. If you didn't want to show the watermark for the clock and date and stuff in the top corner, you can just turn that off altogether. And then it looks like they have a talk mode here, which has one-way or two-way talking. It looks like if you do two-way talking and you tap the camera, you can actually talk, and it will, I guess, alert the person that has the app installed. So that's an interesting feature there. So we talked about cloud storage before, but they also offer options for cloud service. I'm not exactly sure what all this entails, but it looks like you're basically it's a way for it to connect with Amazon Alexa or Google Home and some things like that. It does have IFTTT there. I'd be curious to see what your options are in that realm. May have to do some further checking on that one. Other than that, you can update your device from here. Looks like ours is already up to date. You can also set it to automatic updates if you want. I usually try to steer clear of that just because if there is an update that ends up breaking something, then of course the camera's down until I fix it. And of course, here is device info. So it kind of gives you your basic device ID, IP address that it's currently connected to, signal strength, time zone, all your normal stuff. But that's pretty much it for the basic configuration options. As you can see down here at the bottom, you also have some buttons to kind of control some of this just right from the main screen. There's your privacy mode, night mode, motion detection, and pretty much all that we looked at in the actual settings menu. In the top corner there, you can enable and disable audio, as well as it looks like there's some sort of zoom button here. So if you zoom in, that's pretty much it. Let's move on to the last step and we'll kind of go over final thoughts. All right, so Switchbot indoor cam. It's about 30 bucks, not too bad. For an indoor cam, I really like the setup on it. I like the fact that there's several different ways you can mount it. It does have the magnetic base, similar to kind of how the Wise Cam is, but you do have the ability to anchor it with screws as well, which makes it kind of nice. And so you can kind of mount it upside down or somewhere else in your house, maybe in the ceiling, just kind of out of the way. The size is pretty small, which makes it almost not much bigger than kind of your motion sensors that you see around. A lot of them are about that same size, so that's pretty cool. So with it being so new, RTSP and things like that are not functional yet. So there's no way to get it added into Home Assistant, which is kind of a downer. I do know that Switchbot is working on that, so hopefully that will be updated in the future, where we'll be able to get access to that. And also, hopefully, they'll get that camera added into their API, which will give us the ability to possibly do some things with it that way and integrate it into Home Assistant as well. So if you have some other SwitchBot devices, this might be a pretty good idea for you because you can kind of access them in the same SwitchBot app that you access all of your other SwitchBot devices. But if you're just looking for cameras that you want to integrate into Home Assistant or something like that, you might want to hold off, at least for now, until those new features become available. Nonetheless, I like the size of the SwitchBot cam. I'm going to stick it out and hope for the best with the updates in the future. If you haven't had a chance, jump over to SwitchBot's website, see what all stuff they have coming out. Because, like I said, not only do they have cameras, but they also have door sensors and motion sensors, and of course, their famous SwitchBot bot as well. So definitely worth checking out there. But that's the end of the video, guys.
As always, I want to thank everybody for donating to my Buy Me a Coffee link. Every little bit helps. If you haven't had a chance, jump over to my Spring merchandise page and check out all the Burns home automation merchandise. And if you're interested in VPN service, check out IP Vanish. I'll have the link in the description below, and you can check out what deals they currently have running. Also, if you're interested in buying and selling stock or maybe cryptocurrency, check out Robinhood. I'll have a link in the description below, and if you sign up with Robinhood, you and I both will get a free share of stock. If you liked the video, please subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions or comments, hit me up in the comments below. As always, if there are any videos out there that you would like to see that I don't already have out there, let me know in the comments below or send me an email, and I'll see if I can't get something put together for you guys. Otherwise, I'll see you guys around.